I've been talking about this a lot with many of my coaching clients, and on a lot of the live streams that have come up on the Bulldog Mindset membership, this subject has come up about changing your identity, right? If you look at my previous videos, if you look at who I was 5 years ago, especially 10 years ago, I'm a completely different person. I have a completely different identity. And because of that change in identity, not only has my voice changed,
plan out your decisions, make your judgment calls ahead of time,
but how I carry myself, the way that I look, my interactions, even my facial structure to some degree, you would say has changed, even though it probably hasn't changed. But what's happened is that the way that I make expressions and carry myself has changed, which makes it look like that. Because whenever you're looking at someone, you're seeing some expression that they have on their face, right? That's why you can kind of tell what someone's personality is by what their face looks like and their wrinkle patterns, things like that. So that's why identity is so important, because your actions are always going to flow from your identity. So I want to give you some practical advice on how to change your identity in this video. Let's talk about what is identity, all right? Identity is how you see yourself. In the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell, Maltz, he talked about this idea of your self-image. And he said that basically it doesn't matter what you try to do or how you try to change, as long as your self-image is one way, your subconscious will bring you back to that. There's this idea of a thermostat, this idea that we have this thermostat of how much success, how much happiness, how much whatever we can have in life. And if we exceed that, we make too much money, we get too happy, whatever, we subconsciously sabotage ourselves to go back to the level that we're comfortable with, right? Because comfort is the most important thing for humans in general. So this whole idea of identity, what identity is, it's how you truly see yourself, all right? So at a subconscious level, mostly. How do you really see yourself? What do you truly believe about yourself, right? So for example, many of us have false identities. We don't have the true identity. We believe things about ourselves that we know deep in our heart are not true, right? We feel unworthy at a deep level. We feel like we're frauds. This whole imposter syndrome comes from a mismatched identity with our subconscious, right? Because we feel like, oh, I know I don't really deserve this. If people really knew things about me, if they really knew how I was, if they really knew my flaws, right, then they wouldn't love me. I'm not lovable. These can be, deep-rooted types of identities that we have. But most of the time, identities are attached to roles, okay? Now, what's important is that we make our identity be something that is not contingent upon external factors, right? If you follow Stoic philosophy, which if you subscribe to this channel, you probably do, or if you're a member of the Bulldog Mindset membership, by the way, if you haven't joined, go click that link down below in the description and join us. Huge community of men. I got a ton of topics on mindset that you'll love about actually changing yourself and developing a philosophy and reading books. We have a book club in there. We have book summaries. We have a whole community of men making themselves stronger, dating advice, financial advice, building a business, everything that you need to know to be a super successful man. So go check that out. It's $7 for the first month. I'll give you a full refund if you don't like it. So you could basically consider it free, all right? A free trial, all right? Now, what I was saying about identity that's so important, okay, is to understand that you should not tie your identity to something that could change externally that you don't have control over, right? Especially to roles, right? Because if you change that role, for example, a lot of people, their identity is their job. So what happens if you lose your job? If you're unable to do your job, you lose your identity, you go into a tailspin, your world is thrown upside down. Even identity of being a father or a husband or a boyfriend, whatever, those identities are dangerous as well, because those things could change. And if they do, it's going to throw you for a tailspin. We've all done this before. We've all been guilty of this, have made this mistake before, but I'm just trying to give you a warning. Instead, your identity should be tied to key attributes of yourself. For example, being a bulldog, right? I'm a bulldog. That is my identity. Now, am I perfect in this? Do I have other identities that I have attached to that have maybe dissolved at times and have caused me to tailspin? But of course, right? But I can control the bulldog identity. And sometimes I lose that. Sometimes I get into a bit of a funk. I'm like, am I really a bulldog anymore? It's because I'm not doing the bulldog type of things. But I have control over it. So I could go out there and start running and busting ass and doing the things that I know is bulldog mindset. So that's what identity is. Now let's talk about how to change your identity. All right. So there's two main methods that I use to change people's identities. Okay. The first one is environment. Okay. I want you to read a book, by the way, called Personality Isn't Permanent. It's by Benjamin Hardy. Okay. The point to understand is that your environment can greatly influence your identity. And it's very contextual, right? If you're in a certain environment, it can influence who you are and how you see yourself. And so what you want to do if you want to change your identity is you want to set up the environment for that identity. So a lot of you guys that are watching this channel, I can tell you what your identity kind of is. Your identity might be that you just feel like you're not living up to your potential. You're not good enough. Other people are better. It comes easier for them in life, right? So maybe you've got this kind of, why am I so lazy? I'm a procrastinator. I can't stick to diets. I can't stick to things. I'm highly fearful, right? These are the kind of things that might be in your identity, okay? So let's say you want to change that because you want to be more masculine. You want to be a bulldog. You want to kick ass in life. You want to really take charge of your life, be productive, okay? You want to stop looking at sites you shouldn't be looking at and wanking the monkey. Okay, you want to stop doing that. Instead, you want to go out and be confident in social situations and stop having social anxiety. All right, you want to be the man. You want to feel strong. You want to feel dominant. You want to feel masculine. So how can you adopt that identity and be that guy that you have this vision in your head? Well, let's change your environment. Okay, so let's get rid of the video games. No more video games. All right, let's take that out of the equation. All right, let's get rid of the junk food. All right, let's get rid of all of that stuff. Okay, let's get rid of the websites you're not supposed to be visiting. Unfollow all those girls on Instagram that you're looking at their pictures. All right, and let's get rid of all that stuff. Okay, and let's replace it. Let's replace it with how about a friend group of guys that are strong masculine men, right? They go and they do kickboxing classes, right? Go get around those guys that do kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA fighting. All right, maybe they go hunting. All right, maybe they go out to the bar and they're successful with women. Get that friend group. Entrepreneurs, guys that are successful with money, that are building businesses. Get rid of all the other friend group and make that your environment. These are the people you hang around with, okay? Maybe you stop talking to some family and friends and stuff, or very limit your conversation with them because they're not the right environment. Then your books, you start reading all these books. The books that I talked about in the Bulldog Mindset membership, go check it out, all right? And that's your environment. You stop watching all these YouTube videos that are telling you that women suck and blah, 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 and all this stuff and doomer type of content. Get rid of that, all right? Stop wasting your time watching that. Stop watching television completely. Stop watching sports. All right. Instead, you're going to change your environment so that you're going to have all the things that you need in order to facilitate the lifestyle that you want to be, the identity that you want to be, right? What is someone who is like how you want to be, that identity? What do they have? What does their room look like? Okay. What does their environment look like? What kind of food do they have in their refrigerator, in their pantry? Okay. What kind of weight equipment do they have? So you think about setting up that whole environment. What kind of books are they reading? What kind of content are they consuming? Who are they talking to? All right. I know I'm going into a lot of details here, but I want you to really get the idea of this. So that's number one. The number two thing that you're going to do is you're going to change your actions, because even though your actions flow from your identity, basically your nature, who you are, it also works backwards. You can set a feedback cycle, and the actions you take will convince your subconscious that you are who you say you are, right? So let's say you want the identity of a distance runner, okay? Because I didn't have that identity. I was like, I'm a 240-pound guy, all right? I'm not a distance runner, not by any chance, all right? I can't even run a half marathon. But you know what? I've run 6 full marathons, and 1 ultra marathon, a 50-mile race, all right? So how did that happen? Well, I started taking the actions of an endurance athlete, all right? And so I started running, and I started running like I was training for a marathon. I started training for a marathon and started running all those runs. And then pretty soon after a year, I felt like, okay, well, I've run marathons. I've done the things that distance runners have done. I'm an endurance athlete now, okay? I developed that identity, okay? So start taking those actions, all right? If you want to be this tough, masculine guy that is good with women, that makes money, right? That's entrepreneurial, all right? That is fit, in shape, has a strong mindset, is not socially anxious, is not lazy. What actions are we going to take here? Think about it. Just make a list. It's real simple, okay? You're going to get out, you're going to work out 6 days a week, all right? Some days you're going to run, some days you're going to lift weights, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Pick something, okay? What else are you going to do? All right, maybe you're going to fast and eat 1 meal a day, like I talked about, or maybe you're going to have some kind of strict diet program, or you're just going to eat clean foods, whatever it is. Like, come up with a plan, all right? This is the actions you're going going to take? What other actions you're going to take? When you see people, you're going to talk to 5 people a day, or every time you see an attractive woman, you're going to talk to her regardless of the situation, regardless of what you say, you're just going to do it. Okay. What are the actions you're going to take? You're going to start working. You're going to wake up an hour early every day and work on a side business. Okay. That's going to make you an entrepreneur, right? Because you're going to put this time. It doesn't matter if it succeeds or fails. You're taking the actions of the person in order to become the identity. And once you have the identity, actions will happen automatically, and you will have the results of the person that has that identity, right? Because if you could change your identity, you could change your life, and you would have the life of a person who has that identity. So instead, we're going to take the actions that are going to build the identity that's going to create the life, right? If you had my identity, you would do the things that I do, and you would be as successful in the areas that I'm successful as I am, right? You might have a better identity and be more successful, and that's what I'm really hoping for you. So anyway, that's a real short version of this. I have a lot more content in the Bulldog Mindset membership, including how to reframe the stories of your life. Very important that you understand that. Go check out the lesson in Bulldog Mindset membership on how to change your life story, which is also another powerful way to change your identity.